Hi guys, Ben here from Ben Williams Music. In today's video lesson I want to talk to you a little bit more about the major scale. As you may recall, last time I sent out a video we were looking at major scale shapes starting on the 5th fret of the low E string. Those were in the key of A. Today we're going to learn more or less the same shapes as they occur on the 5th fret of the A string, which will be in the key of D. So these will be slightly different, but I think you're going to notice some really common patterns. So let's take a look at these scales. And remember, when you play along with me and you're trying to learn these, pay careful attention to where I place my fingers, which fingers I put on which frets, and that'll really help you get a nice clean sounding scale, and it'll help you build speed when you decide to play these faster later on. So let's take a look at these shapes and see how they sound. Okay guys, so here is shape number 1, and remember we're going to be playing this on the A string on the 5th fret. That's our starting note. This will be a major scale in the key of D, although all these shapes that we're going to learn today are usable on any note on the A string. So if it works here on the 5th, it'll also start here on the 7th, and that can be an E major scale, or down on maybe the 3rd fret, and that can be a C major scale. But for today's purposes, we're going to learn these 3 shapes in D. So here's the very first one, and we're going to be starting with our first finger on this D note. Okay? Okay, and that's our octave of D, right? Starting there again. And going down. D octave, descending again. Okay, that's our way to play it with our first finger. And that really covers this area of the fretboard and lets us know that that scale's, all those notes line up right there. So, if we play it again, except this time we start with our second finger, we'll be sticking within this area of the fretboard. So here we go with this shape. We're going to start with our second finger there, right? I'm going to go second, then with our pinky up here, going down to the D string. Now we jump up a fret because of the B string. That's our octave. Now we don't have to play that far up. We can just go like this. Stop there. This is our D octave again. Same as it was for the other shape. Now we're going to learn the way to do this starting with our pinky finger. And this shape really comes in handy if you're playing a chord like this. If you're playing a D chord in sort of this C shape. And if you don't know what I'm talking about there, stay tuned for more videos in the future and we'll discuss why that chord's a D. So here's our D major scale again, starting with our pinky on the D note, 5th fret, A string. Go a little slower here. Back down. Okay, so those are our 3 ways to play that D major scale. So another important thing to realize about playing the major scale is that we can think about the major scale as a combination of half steps and whole steps. And in case you don't know what those are, a half step on the guitar equals the distance between one fret and the next fret up, and a whole step is the distance between one fret and 2 frets up. That's a whole step, that's a half step. Same on any string. So we can think about the major scale as a series of whole steps and half steps as well. This is very useful for learning the modes later on down the line. So starting on that D again, if we were to play the scale all on just one string, we'd go starting note D, then a whole step, then another whole step, then a half step, then a whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So we're going whole step, half step. So that's whole, half, whole step, half step. So bear that in mind while you're playing through these different shapes. Okay guys, well I hope you enjoyed that video about the major scale. The major scale is really crucial to know. It's probably one of the most important things to do, and I really like to introduce it to a lot of my students pretty early in their playing career, just so I can be sure that they get a really solid grasp of music theory and chords and things like that, because it really is the sort of ABCs of music theory when you start learning these major scale shapes. So we're not done. There's a few more major scale shapes that I will show you in the next video that I'll probably send out in the next week or so. So please stay tuned. In the meantime, make sure you practice these scales as much as you can and get very comfortable with the fingerings and the overall sound of the scale. And bear in mind that we are dealing with a combination of half steps and whole steps, which makes the major scale a diatonic scale. You might have heard that term thrown around out there in the guitar universe. Diatonic scale basically means it's a scale that contains half steps and whole steps. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.